Hello everyone, and wow, what's going on with my camera? But I'll give you one moment here. It's bothering me. Bam. Okay, that's a bit better. All right, but welcome everyone to NGS Season 19 semifinals for Division A. This is going to be Came From Behind versus Can't Pause, Won't Pause. Now, this is a pretty interesting division because if we take a look over at the standings, once it does roll over to the original ones, these are both upset teams that have gotten here. This is Seed 6 and Seed 7. And funnily enough, for the entire playoff run so far for the quarterfinals, the lower seed has won every series with the exception of Crit Kickers taking on Gen M Esports. And if we take a look at the playoff bracket, we can even kind of see how it does go through it. Came From Behind 3-0'd under new management. Magnitude Epicenter 3-0 the High Inquisitors. Can't Pause, Won't Pause 3-1 Gilly Shark at Bingo Night. And Crit Kickers 3-0'd Gen M Esports. Now, I think what's really interesting about this playoff bracket is we don't have the seeds here, but Crit Kickers was seed 1. And that was the only higher seed to have won the full series. In every other case, not only did the lower team win, they won handedly. 3-0, 3-1. These are both teams today, I believe seed 6 and 7, that were definitely coming off an incredibly strong win. So it's going to be interesting to see if they're going to be able to carry on their momentum today for the rest of this series. But now map picks have already been done. And first pick did go to Can't Pause, Won't Pause. So Came From Behind will get the map pick and ban. So Came From Behind banned away Garden of Terror and Alterac Pass. Can't Pause, Won't Pause banned away Sky Temple and Volskaya Foundry. And map number 1 is going to be Battlefield of Eternity. Now, Battlefield of Eternity definitely going to be a strong start for both of these two teams. As we know, this is the fighting map. There is no better map to try and fight on. It kind of lends itself to that. There's only 2 lanes. There's only so much macro you can really get done on this map. It's going to be really interesting to see how both these two teams do react and do draft for this first game. Now, we are still waiting on a couple more people to join in, but just for now, we'll give a quick rundown of the schedule for this week for Nexus Gaming Series for anyone that does want to watch. But so for today, as you can see right now, me, Tokubi, I'll be casting Div A. Then in half an hour, Omster will be starting a stream on Nexus Gaming Series 2. With Division E 30 Seconds to Mosh versus Yavapai. That will be at 6 p.m. Pacific, 9 p.m. Eastern. And then Limehouse will be hosting a stream on their own channel, twitch.tv/Limehouse, for Division B West, Roll 1 Esports versus Magnitude Aftershock. That'll be at 7:30 Pacific or 10:30 Eastern. Then Tuesday is going to be an off day. Wednesday will be Div B East on NGS 1. Peldor will be casting that. Thursday will be La Fine Keep versus Protectors of Ayer, also NGS 1 with Taco. And Sunday, still going to be assigned, depending on how things go, but most likely this will be cast by The Sound with Div C Bad Rats versus Heavy Group Therapy. And there's still a couple of maps, a couple of games that are still yet to be scheduled that is very possible going to be happening this week. So keep an eye out. Make sure to follow both Nexus Gaming Series and Nexus Gaming Series 2 so you don't miss out on any of the action. Now, but like I said, there's still a couple games that it seems that there's some issues with current heroic scheduling. And I believe there's a couple of Div B and C games that need to be scheduled as well, but don't quote me on that. It's just little stuff I've heard along the grapevine. I'm only here as an outsider. And I'm pretty excited. It's been a while since I've casted over on NGS 1. As just kind of as an update, we are waiting on one more player. And they're already logging in, so we should be getting started shortly. But it's been a while since I've cast on this channel. It's going to be a lot of fun casting here. And I got to say, as someone who runs this typically on their own channel, it's very different, especially since I kind of have less access here on Nexus Gaming Series compared to what I do on Tokibi, but because of that, it's kind of liberating. There's so much less I have to pay attention to. There's so much less I have to be running while I do this. I can just focus entirely on the cast. And yeah, it just gives me a lot more free time and a lot more free focus, really, once the games do begin. But yep, I think that's all I really got for this for now. We do have 9 players starting. But for anyone that has been keeping up on my channel, you know that I've been in the process of a move, currently waiting on my new setup, and I expect I will be casting on the NGS channel in the near future again. I'm sure we'll have more games coming up next week. Maybe I'll get scheduled for a few more this week. But this will be the last time I will be casting and commentating sitting down. My sit-stand desk arrived earlier today. Didn't have a chance to finish it before this cast, unfortunately. But should be able to have it done sometime tomorrow. And after that, we're going to have a nice, fancy setup. And it should definitely allow me to bring in a lot more energy and should definitely improve the quality of the cast overall. So I'm really looking forward to that. I'm hoping all of you are looking forward to that. And it's just going to be a blast once that does come through. Oh, we currently... Oh, and for anyone that is in the NGS Discord, there was a tournament update right now. So there is a main roster and a sub list. So if you're curious to see if you made it, if you signed up for it, the list did just get posted in our Discord. Do we have a link to that here? Yeah, we do. We have the Discord link down in the bottom right below. So if you want to join the Discord, if you're already not a part of NGS, though I suspect most people here are going to be. And yeah, so be sure to join it. There's going to be a tournament coming up soon for Saturday, May 17th. Look forward to that. I can assure you I am looking forward to that. I definitely signed up to cast it. I believe, I don't know my exact schedule, but I do know I am going to be casting it at some point. But all the players are now here. Ready check is coming through, so once we get the ready check done, we will be heading straight into map number 1, Battlefield of Eternity, between Came From Behind and Can't Pause, Won't Pause. And I gotta say, Div A was one of those divisions that's kind of surprised me. It was very one-sided. There was like a clear top half and bottom half at the start of the season, but just before playoffs, everything closed in, and we're seeing the repercussions of it now. All right, but we are in the Battlefield of Eternity. It is time for us to get the game going. Now, like I said, first pick is going to be going over to the side of Can't Pause, Won't Pause. They were the higher seed going into this, so they decided to get themselves that first pick. They prioritized that for themselves. But what's going to be interesting to see is what they do prioritize for this map. Battlefield of Eternity definitely brings in a lot of niche picks that aren't really that effective on other maps. This is where we see the Jimmy, the Artanas at times. Not always, definitely not commonly, especially Raynor, but could definitely be something to look forward to. But Stukov actually going to be the first ban for Can't Pause, Won't Pause. Now, banning Stukov is definitely going to be one of those bans that's preventing a team fight primarily, but it's also a really good ban for slowing down defense, because if you have one of your heroes racing off into the side, off onto the other immortal, swipe is such a strong ability to slow down the team that's trying to take down your immortal, and it's really good at that. And all of Stukov's kit is really just made for that kind of thing, either pickoffs or area control. And I mean, Stukov definitely excels at both of those, but obviously does not have a cleanse, so definitely gets a little bit weaker because of it. But now Dahaka going to be the ban for Came From Behind, and the Junkrat going to be banned by Can't Pause, Won't Pause. Dahaka is definitely a little bit of an interesting ban here, as we see the Anduin also banned by Came From Behind. Just because this is primarily a global hero, but just due to the nature of how strong Dahaka is in teamfights, the Isolate, the Drag, they're both such incredibly powerful abilities. And the Brush Stalker, while it has less effect on this map, since it is more of a fighting map rather than a macro-centered map, it still is very powerful. Just turning a 5v4 into the bot lane, maybe it's actually a 4-core Dahaka could play up in the top side with that Brush Stalker, make a 2v1. But first pick already going to be coming through for Can't Pause, Won't Pause, and it's going to be the Uther for Cubico. And at the same time for Came From Behind, they do lock in the Falstad for Top Gun and the Anubarak for Gurk Freezer. Now, I really like both the Falstad and Anubarak pick. It's not guaranteed yet, but it does signify to me that they are looking more for that team fight-oriented build. Falstad does have decent DPS when it comes to taking down the Immortals, but definitely not as strong as the Valo that was just locked in for my pal Shade. But what Falstad can do is provide a lot of control. The Gust is an incredible ability, kind of in the similar vein that Swipe is used as, but Gust can also be used offensively, trying to push people into a wall. Once you get that level 20 wind wall, it's just basically permanent CC that cannot be cleansed. That's the most important part of it. And then last pick for the first phase is going to be the white main for Waterlong. So already we're seeing a double healer come out from Can't Pause, Won't Pause. This does mean that the Uther, most likely at least, unless they do something even more fancy, is going to be the main tank for the side of Can't Pause, Won't Pause. Definitely going to be able to bring out a lot of crowd control as well. I'm curious if they're going to go D-Shield level 10, or if instead of that they're going to decide to go for the Divine Storm and just have that big AoE stun. But the real concern for me right now for Came From Behind is this Vala for my pal Shade. Gonna have so much race potential on these Immortals. Assuming it is the Hungering Arrow build, I have seen a couple teamfight Valas on this map before, going Kree to the Hunter, once even Fire at Will. So there's still a lot of options, but most of the time we do see that Hungering Arrow build coming out from the Valas. Now next set of bans is going to be the Hogger and the Oriole, and we already get an instant 2-pick combo. Tychus for Huckett and the Ana for Mr. Hustler. Now the Tychus is, with Tychus and Falstad as your 2 DPSs, Came From Behind is definitely going to be a fighting team. And Ana's going to be able to help quite a bit with it. Has a lot of long range heal, has full anti-heal in the kit. I'm not even sure any other healer has that. So if you're just trying to burst someone down, Ana's genuinely one of the best healers you can have in that combo. Then meanwhile, on the side of Can't Pause, Won't Pause, they are going to lock in the Alarak for Marbuckle and the Hanzo for Silent Shoe. So very interesting team composition. It's double healer, triple assassin, no bruisers, no true tanks. Uther kind of can definitely tank, but still no true tanks on this roster right now. And this is going to be pretty interesting. I mean, it looks like both of these two sides just kind of want to fight. And I'm guessing for Can't Pause, Won't Pause, it's going to be the 4 core that's going to be trying to fight. And then the Vala is going to be in the back line trying to get the DPS onto the Immortal. And the final pick for Came From Behind is going to be the Varian for Mojo. Now, I assume this is going to be an offlane Varian. I'm not sure what talent build they're going to go. It's definitely not often I see an offlane Varian. Could still be Taunt, could be Shout. We're just gonna have to see. But, alright, as I say that, it's time to get started with game number 1. All right, and here we are, Battlefield of Eternity, game number 1 between Came From Behind and Can't Pause, Won't Pause. Now, hopefully that last part's going to be true. We definitely had a lot of pauses in the first half of this season. But now both teams are going to get set up, and I'm really interested to see what this talent's going to be from Silent Shoe. I suspect it is Hungering Arrow, but with the way their team comps build, it could just be a full teamfight composition. And it may make sense to go Creed of the Hunter. It called it. Look at that. I'm finally learning. At the start of the season, no way I could call stuff like that. But the way their team comp set up, it definitely makes more sense to just try and team fight, to just try and have all 5 members working on having as much DPS as possible. And without the Vala, they don't really have a consistent way of taking out the Variant or the Anubarak. Assuming it is going to be Taunt Variant anyway. If it's Bruiser Variant, it could definitely be taken down, but Taunt Variant is going to be very difficult. And Creed of the Hunter is exactly what they need to have that extra little bit of damage. Having that extra attack speed, those extra consistent DPS, rather than that higher burst damage. I think it's a really good pick, especially because it does work with the strategy they're building. But Can't Pause, Won't Pause actually had a pretty interesting start there. They sent 4 members up to the top side, hunting for Mojo, but Mojo, before seeing them, decides, you know what? They could be here, so I'm just not going to walk up. I'm just going to chill over at my wall. But now Gurk Freezer does go in. Does take a decent bit of damage on the way out, but my Pal Shade going to be down to 1/3. But again, with double healer, we'll be able to get back to full HP, no problem. And that is the power of that double heal comp. But now Cubico gets sleeping darted as well. We'll be able to just jump over the wall and back out to safety. A Silent Shoot just trying to get a little bit of damage over as well. Currently at 14 stacks already, and I haven't mentioned this yet, but it is Gathering Storm build for Top Gun, so going to be more of that burst build. And this is pretty interesting to me. It's really rare where there's two teams that are kind of going more around teamfight on this map. There's usually at least one team that wants to do the race, but right now Gurk Freezer goes in, starting to get pretty low though. A lot of damage going back and forth onto these two teams, but at the end of the day, both sides will be okay. But My Pal Shade and Cubico both are starting to get pretty low on the mana, will be forced to reset. Now we are about to approach 2 minutes, and Came From Behind, they could decide to start on that siege camp, but it doesn't look like they've noticed that the reset has happened. So Can't Pause, Won't Pause will be able to get a little bit of a cheater hearth out, and they will be able to get back in lane in time. However, with this pressure that they have, Came From Behind immediately going to get started on this siege camp, and Can't Pause, Won't Pause, they're actually kind of cheating tempo a little bit and getting started on the Bruiser camp instead. So maybe this could open up the opportunity for them to maybe try and invade the Bruiser camp on the side of Came From Behind. Or maybe this is just a way for them to grab this camp first and then immediately run up and take the top side. But we will have to see as the game does go on. Now the Immortal is going to be spawning in 25 seconds. And this is going to be the first big objective that's going to be available on the map. And going to be interesting to see how both these two teams do decide to go around this. Now, it does look like Can't Pause, Won't Pause, or as I say that, Cubico kind of going between lanes, but My Pal Shade getting jumped upon, and the anti-heal from the Biotic Grenade from Mr. Hustler going to be enough to get first blood for Came From Behind. And I talked about it a little bit in terms of just having raw burst, but I neglected to talk about just how good that is single ability is. Just this Biotic Grenade, just how strong it is into a double healer team comp. It basically makes the entire composition obsolete when it comes to trying to defend the front line. If you have enough damage during the duration of it, you will be able to get that kill. Doesn't matter how many healers they have. They could have 3, they could have 4. If you have a Biotic Grenade on them, there's nothing they can do. But now, the taunt is going to be coming through, and Marbuckle actually getting caught out and will be going down. So Came From Behind already going to be on 2 kills this game, as the halftime for the Immortals has already come through as well. So Can't Pause, Won't Pause. They're currently out raising Came From Behind, but it looks like they want to keep fighting, and they're looking for My Pal Shade, and My Pal Shade also going to go down 3-0 right now. And with that, they can defend and just let Huckett go back and just start DPSing onto the Immortal. However, the respawn timers are fairly short. We are pretty early into the game, only 3.5 minutes in. I make that 4 minutes at this point. But Mojo going to get taunted up, Sleeping Dart as well, as Gurk Freezer taking a decent amount of damage, but will go unstoppable. But now both sides just going to be full DPSing onto the Immortals, and it's really going to come down to whoever has the most DPS. And this might actually go in favor of Can't Pause, Won't Pause, and 96 health remaining. Came From Behind. Can't Pause, Won't Pause will be able to get the Immortal for themselves. But with such a low shield, with such low health, because this is a pretty early Immortal, it's not going to be super powerful. It should be able to get them at least some damage on the wall, maybe some of these structures down, but I can't imagine it will have a massive effect. The fort especially should not be threatened here, as both sides do have their level 7s now. But yeah, we can already see a decent amount of damage done to the wall, but even finishing up the wall would be good. But now Marbuckle is starting to get jumped upon. Gurk Freezer able to find a pretty solid angle. Mojo coming in from the side as well. And it is taunt variant, by the way. But the silence is going to be coming through from Marbuckle. They have the Hand of Justice as well. But My Pal Shade going to get taunted up. Got to get knocked up and will go down. Impale also lands onto Waterlong as Gurk Freezer might be getting traded back. But the healing just in time for Mr. Hustler. Able to keep them alive. I mean, that was an absolutely clutch heal because Silent Shoot almost managed to trade this right back. And I do want to make a big point of it because right now, all the deaths are on the front line. Now, I don't think this is because they're not playing well. I think this is just a testament to how good of a pick this Ana has been. And at the same time, I also want to mention that this is Creed of the Hunter is a Gambit talent. So the fact that they have 0 kills onto Silent Shoe does mean that the DPS is still going to be there. But now My Pal Shade getting jumped upon again. Now maybe with a couple more levels, My Pal Shade will have the survivability necessary to just be able to tank the initial burst. And as long as they can tank through the Biotic Grenade, they will be in a much better spot to win the rest of the fight. And because of that, I kind of do want to see a Divine Shield coming out level 10. I think that that's going to be a really solid counter to whoever they jump upon with the Biotic Grenade. Because right now, the way they came from behind are playing, they are just kind of that single target burst comp, or not necessarily single target, but single area burst comp. Because if they're able to get the Impale, if they're able to get the Burrow Charge from the Anubrak, whoever is in that AoE, that's who they're going to be aiming at. That's who they want to take down. But D-Shield is definitely going to make that a lot more complicated to do. But now, next set of Immortals is going to be spawning soon, but Silent Shoe gonna go back and take the Bruiser Camp instead. This is gonna be a pretty defensive spawn right now for the Immortals, and neither side's willing to really commit onto it yet. Came from behind, they're gonna get started onto their Bruiser Camp as well, and they're bringing the whole team, as Campos Wonpos also managed to finish theirs out early. But now Marbuckle gonna be trying to clear out the waves. Level 10s have just come through for Came From Behind. This is a pretty solid power spike for them, but top lane's already been shoved in. Marbuckle kind of worried to walk up, but instead the taunt is going to be once again onto the Uther, and it's 5-0 in favor of Came From Behind. There was a Bruiser Camp dealing quite a bit of damage over to their wall, and actually I believe this was mostly from that first Bruiser Camp, but most of this top lane wall is gone. But now Came From Behind with that extra pick off. They're looking for the bot side. They're looking for Marbuckle, but they have the return. Crimson Aegis as well. And now the burst damage coming through. Dragon Strike over onto Mojo. Not enough for the kill, but Waterlong was tossed into the cocoon as the Dragon Laser Drill just being used for DPS onto the Immortal. But the value is value. And at the same time, it was also a zoning tool. But that's going to be 2 heroics used from the side of Came From Behind, and 3 heroics used from Canpause Wonpause. But the Counter-Strike, it's only a 30-second cooldown, so it can be used pretty aggressively. Can be used pretty liberally as well. But now, My Pal Shade gonna get stunned up, but they have the Cleanse, and the Battle Grenade lands onto 2. But this time, they don't have the burst, and now they have the Rain of Vengeance onto 2. Marbuckle's still looking for the kill. They're all solo, but they just don't have the damage. Counter-Strike trying to get used onto the backline. Mojo starting to get slowed as well, and they're able to take down Mojo. The Gust is going to prevent the follow-up on a Gurk Freezer. But it will be the first kill of the game for Canpause Wonpause as they're on the objective. Cubico is going to start hitting onto it. A Silent Shoe needs to go back, will be able to provide the extra damage. But now the defense is going to be coming through here from Canpause Wonpause. They need to try and zone away as hard as possible. Hand of Justice going to push Gurk Freezer away. And the more time they're able to buy for Canpause Wonpause, the better. And right now, it is still already pretty close. They are now about tied onto the Immortal HP. But Came From Behind. They want to go in. They already have the Cocoon. And they're looking for the burst onto the backline. Marbuckle is going to go with the D-Shield. And another Crimson Angels coming through, as the Dragon Strike also just going to be used as a zoning tool. So this should be another Immortal going the way of Came From Behind. But what about the fight? They're still going to the backline. Huckett able to dash away. And now Gurk Freezer going in with the stun, going in with a Burrow Charge, but not going to be able to follow up as the Sleeve Dart just in time. So Marbuckle cannot get the combo. But at the end of the day, Campos Wonpause definitely had a massive fight as the Immortal goes right back down to the bottom lane and is going to finish off this wall. And the second Immortal is definitely going to be quite a bit stronger, has more shield, more health, more damage. And Canpause Wonpause are in a much better spot as well. They got themselves their first kill. They managed to get themselves a much healthier Immortal. Now the Dragon Laser Drill going to be used here for defense, but it looks like this fort is definitely going to be going down. So first structure actually going the way of Canpause Wonpause despite the start. Another Dragon Laser Drill also going to get taken down by Silent Shoe. Was able to DPS pretty handedly onto this Immortal, but not enough quite yet. As Mojo coming in from the side, could be looking for a flank angle. Sees Silent Shoe. Both double healer does get a little bit difficult. Mr. Hustler also in the play. They have the Burrow Charge, but the stun's going to come through. Silent Shoe just walking back. Rain of Vengeance coming through. And Dragon Strike just used to split up the fight into 2. Crimson Aegis over in the mid line. Canpause Wonpause, they're starting to look pretty strong now. And if you don't burst the double healer comp, you're not going to win the team fight. But they want to keep going. Burrow Charge lands onto 3. And now Counter Strike not going to land on anyone. Sleeping Dart hits 2. But they're all able to survive. Neither side going to be able to get a kill during that fight, as both sides will just disengage. But Campos Wonpause, they do have the inside track towards the siege camp. so they will at least be able to get themselves that extra neutral camp. But they got a ton of value with that Immortal. This entire bot lane wall is gone, so they got 2 sets of walls and the bottom fort, which is going to not only give them that passive push pressure, but it's also going to put them in a position where they can push in further when they are able to get the priority. But right now, came from behind. They're setting up a play, looking for a Marbuckle. They have the stun, they have the impale, but the counter-strike immediately going to come through, but it doesn't matter. The taunt is in place, and they're able to take him down, but now Rain of Vengeance, so the team fight is still ongoing. Salanchu just trying to auto over top, but not able to find too many hits. And it is going to be another pickoff in favor of Came From Behind. Their team composition doing exactly what it was designed for. And now they're going to be getting started onto these Impalers. They're going to be able to finish this off for themselves and also looking for the next play. They have the Dragon Laser Drill. They have the Dragon Strike over top, though. Cubico looking for the play, but it's just going to split the fight up. Bipal Shade still going to be going down, and it will be a 2-0 instead for Came From Behind. And this is really good timing for them as well. They're going to have that pickoff on the pseudo main tank just as the Immortals are spawning. There's a wave pushing on the bot side, but Top Gun is going to be here. Mojo going to be able to help out as well. And they will be able to just clear this out. And if anything, Top Gun also has flight, so it can get to the fight whenever it is necessary. Now Can't Pause, Won't Pause going to be clearing out this Immortal as well. And I'm actually a bit surprised that they do have first move on it. They're going to be able to get it at halftime as the Bruiser camp is finished from Came From Behind. And this might also be part of that privilege of having that bot lane already down in their favor. They're going to have the extra cannons. They're going to be able to have the push in a better position for them before the objective begins. And now they're going to be able to return back onto their own Immortal camp and start threatening over on the top side of the map. Now the Immortals have spawned top bot side, which is every observer's favorite spot. But now they're looking towards the Marbuckle. And now with the extra healing, we'll be able to come back. Has the D-Shield over top. And now this fight's starting to get split. Dragon Strike over top. But Huckett going to go forward. Going to be able to take down one. And again, they're just bullying onto this Uther. This Anna is just being such a nuisance, but they have a silence on it too, and they have a double stun on a silent shoot, but silent shoot still alive, but Marbuckle not going to be able to follow it up, going to be taken down and burst down by Came From Behind. This pickoff composition is working so well, and actually, the Bruiser camp was able to take down the bottom fort at the same time. Now, the Bruiser camp over on the top side for Can't Pause, Won't Pause, getting some pretty good value onto this fort as well, but it does seem, especially with the Draken Laser Drill that Came From Behind, should be able to secure themselves this objective, and they will be in a very good spot for themselves. A couple more hits, and it will be the first Immortal of the game going the way of Came From Behind, which is pretty surprising to say because the score is 9-1 in terms of kills, but Can't Pause, Won't Pause, even if it is Creed of the Hunter Vala, it is still very good at taking down Immortals. But that being said, they're still a full level ahead of Can't Pause, Won't Pause. They're going to have their level 16 for this next push. But both forts now gone for Can't Pause, Won't Pause. The Bruiser camp able to get that extra value on the top side. But now this Immortal is going to be where the next big push happens. It's going to be very powerful. Basically 2 hitting the wall. And now it's going to get started over onto the fort, but Marbuckle trying to get a little bit of a play, but now they have the taunt. The Counter-Strike is going to be there, and Mojo is in front of the Dragon Strike, so not going to be able to go down there, but now the fort zoning away Huck, and Mojo going to get burst down. They have the Cocoon over in the backline, but they're all just kind of ignoring it. Cubico going to be able to turn around on it. Silent Shoot is going to get impaled, but no other follow-up is going to be available, and Can't Pause, Won't Pause. At least so far, they've managed to successfully defend. But now they will be finishing off this Immortal. They will be able to maybe even keep some of their wall alive, and it does look like they'll be able to keep most of their top wall alive. So when it comes to the structural damage, Can't Pause, Won't Pause are still ahead, but Came From Behind. That's still going to be a little bit over half a level lead, probably around 3/4 of a level even. But now both sides just going to get started on these siege camps and just going to trade the north to south Impalers for their own push. But even when I say that there is a slight advantage to Can't Pause, Won't Pause for the structures, it's important to note that it is only slight, and it is only in terms of how much they will need when they push. In terms of the passive experience from the forts, in terms of the passive push from the cannons, they are going to be even now. So Came From Behind, they definitely, well, came from behind, and we're going to be able to get themselves in a state where the push is no longer going to be passively threatening them. They can now take more time during these plays. They can get their waves in further, and it's going to open up a lot of the map for them. And when you have that pickoff composition, you want to open up the map as much as you can. When there's less of an area for you to be in, it's easier to predict the angles that you're going to be attacking from. But once the map is more open, see where Gurk Freezer is right now, it becomes harder for Campos Won't Pause to predict and harder for them to position preemptively for it. But now the next set of Immortals is going to be spawning in 25 seconds. Level 16 is there for Campos Won't Pause. So they are in an even talent here, but Mojo just going to be running straight up. And Cubico kind of split off the rest of the team. We'll be able to jump over the wall. And now Campos Won't Pause. They're actually going to be able to be in a safe spot. They do lose priority onto these Immortals, so Came From Behind will be able to get the first move for themselves. And they're already positioning onto it. They're going to start defending onto their Immortal. But Campos Won't Pause, they're still going to be able to get the DPS out first. Now the Draken Laser Drill going to come out immediately. Just going to be DPSing onto My Pal Shade as they're just going to run down to it and just clear it away. And that's going to be a pretty big heroic that's already been used by Came From Behind. They're not going to have for the rest of the fight. And with a double healer composition, they're going to be able to be back at full HP. Now Top Gun has been put on DPS duty for this Immortal. It does have flight as well, so could definitely find more angles later on. But you can see that Campos Won't Pause, they're scared to approach, but now Marbuckle gonna get stunned up. Counter-strike as well, but not gonna be able to land onto anyone. The healing coming out over top. My Pal Shade's trying to survive. Has the D-Shield, will be alive. Marbuckle able to land the silence onto 3, and now Mojo starting to get low as well. Sound Shoe vaults in and may have gone a little bit too far, but it's just going to be the Uther down for now, as it is that 1-0, and halftime has already been hit. Came From Behind currently winning on the race, and look at that burst on the Gurk Freezer, but the gust from Top Gun going to be able to come out in time and keep their Anubarak alive. So with that, Campos Won't Pause are going to be able to just run back in, kind of slow down the play, because now these spawns are kind of defensive. It'll give them time to push out their lanes, because as you can see from Silent Shoe, the top lane is definitely starting to push into them, as both sides are also going to be able to finish off these bruiser camps and get that standing experience off the map and get a little bit of pressure for themselves. But now the fight's going to be breaking out again. They have the silence, and now Gurk Freezer almost gets taken down. Hungry Arrow not going to be enough, because they do have the Unbreakable Carapace, and now Mojo going to get stunned up by the Immortal. The silence not going to be there because the Protect from Mojo was there in time. But with that, they took a good amount of damage onto their Immortal, but they were able to zone them away before the Immortal went down fully. And now Campos Won't Pause can really start this pressure, but they have the sleep, they have the stun. My Pal Shade going to go down again. And now the Cocoon's also going to be on Silent Shoe, but will be able to get right back out. And they're all starting to get low. Mojo does not have a ton of HP, neither does Gurk Freezer. Silent Shoe just trying to DPS over top, and they're able to take down Top Gun of all people. Not who was expecting to go down, but now the Impale does land as well. Now they are getting zoned a little bit by the Draken Laser Drill, but it's not going to be enough. They have the taunt, and Marbuckle going to go down, and all the sadism stacks go down with them. And now with this, Came From Behind, they can start playing more aggressively. They're able to find Cubico, but with the cleanse, able to jump over the wall, but Waterlong has nowhere to go. Will get slept up, and Cubico will be the first to go down. Waterlong should be next to follow. And with the taunt, Came From Behind get a 4-0 play, and they take down everyone except for Silent Shoe. And with this, they will definitely be able to secure themselves this Immortal. They will even be able to come back with Mojo to clear away this Bruiser camp. That did at least some damage onto their wall, but at the same time, that damage was returned over in the bot lane from Came From Behind. But now this will be a very healthy Immortal. This is going to be level 20 power spike from Came From Behind, but right now they are pretty split. Mojo is still on the top side. Mr. Hustler currently on the way, does have the mount, and Top Gun with flight should be able to join up pretty soon, but there will be at least a little bit of time where Campos Won't Pause can just start DPSing onto this Immortal. However, 2 of them are still respawning, so this wall should go down very quickly. I suspect this keep will also follow shortly, but I want to see Came From Behind. I want to see them play aggressive. They have their level 20s, but the Dragon Strike going to be used preemptively just for zoning. But now Mojo going to be able to get the taunt in the front line. Marbuckle going to be there, but now the Ensemble is there. They have the Counter Strike Wind Wall. Everyone is stuck, but Crimson Age is trying to keep them alive, but Waterlong's going to go down. They are able to, Waterlong's going to be able to survive, but they are going to lose their Alarak. And now Silent Shoe just autoing over top of the Dragon Laser Drill. Look at that range. Gonna be going onto the core, but my pal Shade gonna be the next to get focused down. It's a 2-for-0. It's still a healthy Immortal, and came from behind, should have been able to do it. They'll get the final taunt onto Silent Shoe and be able to win game number 1. Very close game. Came from behind. I mean, 60-3 in terms of kills. It doesn't look close, but Can't Pause, Won't Pause, we're definitely keeping this in a pretty even state for a decently long time. Whoops, I totally forgot to remove this. My bad. But this is going to be a really good spot for them to be in now. Because they've shown that they're able to fight once they have that team fight composition, at least for the side of Came From Behind. But Can't Pause, Won't Pause. Even when they're down 16-3, they were even for most of the game. They were even up in terms of structures. And being able to win out in macro on a map like Battlefield of Eternity is no easy feat. So they're definitely showing that they're here to compete. They're going to be able to compete, and we'll be able to see them do just that as we head to a break before game number 2. Don't go anywhere. Alright, welcome back everyone for game number 2 between Came From Behind and Can't Pause, Won't Pause. Now this time around, we're going to my other favorite map, Brax's Holdout. Both these two teams clearly like those 2-lane maps. And we go straight from Battlefield of Eternity into Braxis. But now Stukov, again, going to be banned by Can't Pause, Won't Pause. We saw they banned it away in game number 1 just because clearly they just don't want Came From Behind playing it. But at the same time, Stukov is also just really good on this map. Is super good at clearing away the Zerg. On defense, Stukov is probably the single best healer you could have on this for Braxis anyway. But it's going to be a pretty interesting one again because as opposed to Battlefield of Eternity, this map is a lot more snowbally. If anyone's able to get the lead early on, you can get a lot more value out of it because you only need to control the points. If you have the lanes pushed in, it's basically impossible to try and contest it. You will lose a lot more than just those short timings where you need to fight onto the Immortal. You're given a lot more time and ability and agency to do that. So going to be interesting to see if that does change anything in terms of the styles these two teams do go for. But for now, the bans have stayed identical. Neither side has really adjusted to this map, but like I said earlier, hasn't been necessary. However, this already is going to be different. Can't Pause, Won't Pause. They're going to take the false out for themselves this time around. Talon Shu going to be playing it, but Came From Behind. If it ain't broken, why fix it? A Nubrak locked in again for Gerg Freezer. We saw how they were able to get that single target lockdown, how they were able to get those pickoffs going for the team. And especially when they were also able to get the variant for Mojo last game, it really opened up the amount of opportunity they had at that pickoff composition. But now this time they're going to go with Rhaegar as their healer. And in fact, it is going to be Huckett playing that Rhaegar. So it is going to be a little bit more team healing. Ancestral Heal is really good for that burst heal. I suspect that's going to be the heroic because just to kind of give you an idea of how often it's picked, I don't even know what the other heroic is on Rhaegar. As long as I've cast, Rhaegar has been pretty meta, and I have never seen the other heroic. It has always been Ancestral Healing. But for Can't Pause, Won't Pause, some very interesting picks now. Rexar for Marbuckle and Garrosh for Cubico. Now, I really, really like Rexar right here and right now because it's super strong in that 1v1. Misha is incredibly strong. Has a lot of trade potential, and with Rexar being able to actually keep Misha healed up throughout the game, it makes it so it's almost always a negative trade for whoever the opposition offlaner is going to be. And Garrosh also has so much pickoff potential as well, and it should be a lot tankier than the Uther they had in game number 1. Uther is kind of a healing tank in the sense that not super good at burst damage, but because of the healing, the self-healing that they can bring to themselves, the Uther's able to survive longer in those fights. But the next set of bans has already come through. It is going to be the White Mane banned by Came From Behind, and the Tychus banned by Can't Pause, Won't Pause, with Genji locked in for Top Gun 707 and the Malthael locked in for Mojo. Now, I do like the Malthael because it does have a lot of AoE damage, so can kind of fight both Rexar and Misha at the same time. And then Genji is a staple on Brax's holdout. It is not a big map. It is not a tall map. So Genji can go from between lanes very quickly. But as I say that, Probius locked in the semi-finals for Waterlong. Now, this should be a very fun one. Probius is a very strong hero, and this is what the playoffs are about. So many of these teams, they practice this stuff, but they don't pull it out in the regular season. They wait for the games that matter. This is where it all comes out. The Alarak going to get locked in for Mr. Hustler as well, and the Brightwing for My Pal Shade. But I'm really interested to see what this Alarak and Genji can do and what this Probius can do. I think these are going to be the heroes and the players that I'm going to be looking out for. So I'm super excited to see what's going to come out here as we head into game number 2. All right, and we're into Brax's holdout. Map number 2 between Came From Behind and Can't Pause, Won't Pause. Now, like I said, the Probius, definitely not a pick I see often, but it's always fun when I do. And most interestingly, I have seen it more than once, and I believe it was also picked on Brax's holdout. Frankly, it could have even been this team. but I remember that the Proteus was able to bring out a ton of damage in the game, was able to just be an absolute menace on the map. So gonna be very fun to see how much value Waterlong's gonna be able to get out of this hero. And I have seen before it played in the offlane, but right now it looks like it's gonna be played over in the bottom lane to start at least. As Campos Bone Paws did have Silent Shoe kind of roaming over towards the top side, but I suspect it will still be that 1-4 setup for them. But all 5 members of Came From Behind are already in the bot lane, and maybe they're looking for that early pick, kind of how they did in game number 1, but it doesn't look like it will happen yet. But going to be interesting to see if this time around, if Mr. Hustler can hold on to those sadism stacks and get that snowball ahead. But now Cubico standing in the front, going to be able to use the ground breaker on a Gurk Freezer, but with the Bro Charge, going to be able to go back. And now the damage is going right back on a Cubico. Cubico starting at pretty low and will actually be able to heal back up for now. But Phase Shift not able to come out, and it's going to be First Blood again to Came From Behind as they're able to confidently fight into the garage. Now that is definitely a weakness of that Brightwing in the early game. Doesn't have a ton of healing. But now, as they say that, they're able to jump on a Silent Shoe, and Silent Shoe just immediately gonna get 1 hit. Already 2 stacks of sadism. 106 out of 1,000 technically, but 106 is the one that matters. Each point is going to be able to increase the ability damage and the heal. So as Alarak gets stronger, this one-shot potential is just going to get higher. But now Mojo's starting to get taken down pretty low by Marbuckle, but will be able to heal back up over Misha. The deflect is going to be coming through from Top Gun, but Marbuckle still kind of happily trading into both of them. Is starting to get a little bit low, but Silent Shoe is going to be in the area as well and is going to get started. Now Mojo getting jumped upon the Lightning Rod. Not going to be able to have enough damage, but now Top Gun getting jumped as well, and they're able to go for it. The deflect is going to be there. They have the Polymorph. Do they have the damage? And yes, they do. So that's going to be the first kill of the game, going over to Canpaw's Won't Pause, as they are finishing off their Bruiser camp as well. The Siege camp is already going to be pushing in from Came From Behind, but it looks like it will be able to get cleared away, as both sides have their own beacon, one on the top side, one on the bot side, but decent wall damage coming in once again from both of these two teams. And actually not as much done to the bot side as I expected. They did have the siege camp, but it looks like the Bruiser camp and Cubico being able to just use the Wrecking Ball to throw one of the siege camps over the wall definitely made it easier to clear away. But now Huckett just gonna be trying to clear away this Bruiser camp kind of solo as the fight's breaking out on the top side. As a Smart Buckle and Silent Shoe versus Mojo and Top Gun again, but Mojo's starting to get low. They have the extra range, and Silent Shoe actually going forward, looking towards Top Gun now, and just needs a little bit more damage, 150 HP, but won't be able to go down yet. And I haven't mentioned this, but this is the auto tag build. Frequent Flyer from Silent Shoe's Mojo, also down to 90 HP, and with that, Canpaw's Won't Pause, they're going to be able to hold onto both of these beacons. They're going to start collecting. They're already at 30%, so this is going to be a decent amount of Zerg for them no matter what at this point, even if they do end up losing out before they get to that 100%. But this is how the snowball starts. But at the same time, Mr. Hustler still hasn't gone down, still has that extra bit of percentage, but the wall is taking a lot of damage over the top side. And now Mr. Hustler has the Silent Set, half of Silent Shoe's HP from one combo. That's the danger. And whenever you land that triple combo, by the way, you get even more stacks. That is with that show of force talent. So gonna be very dangerous to fight into Mr. Hustler, as again, look at that burst. Silent Shoe almost gonna go down, but the phase shift is gonna be coming out at 78 to 10% now, as actually Came From Behind, able to take on them both. But now Mr. Hustler gonna get jumped upon and may get taken down, and the stacks are gone. Back to 100% they go, and Canpaw's Won't Pause will be able to tie up the kill score at the same time. But now both sides are just trying to get as much Zerg as possible. I think no matter what, Canpaw's Won't Pause, they're happy with what they have. Getting that extra 100% is just going to be there to start the actual push from the Zerg, and also trying to keep Came From Behind from getting their own. But now it looks like they don't really care about that. What they are focusing upon right now is this top lane fourth. They're already taken down to about 2/3 health, and just from a single wave, that's a really solid push. But now Marbuckle kind of get pushed down a little bit. But again, the healing is there. Top Gun coming in from the side and just trying to dash over top. And now the Polymorph is going to be there. Top Gun taking a decent amount of auto attack damage. Silent Shoe is quite strong, but Misha gonna get taken down. So it's going to be a half kill going over to Came From Behind. Still a pretty quick revive, as the final bit of Zerg has been taken for Can't Pause, Won't Pause. 100% to them, 33% over to the bot side, but Waterlong should be pretty good on the defense here. The question is, how well can they defend on the side of Came From Behind? But now they have the stun, and they're able to take down Top Gun. The Genji's already going to be removed, and now with that, they are definitely going to be able to take down this fort. But how much more can they get? The totem is going to be used just to slow down Cubicos. Misha gets tossed onto the front line. Go, Bear, go. Find that play. Find that stun for the rest of the team. Now the Zerg now going to be approaching onto the wall. The Groundbreaker able to take onto Mr. Hustler, but now Mojo gets tossed into the back. They have the stun. They have the polymorph. Do they have the DPS? And Mojo will get taken down finally. Another Bro Charge comes through Gurk Freezer, but it doesn't seem like there's really a play. And yet, as they say that, Mr. Hustler going to be able to take down Misha with the help of Top Gun. At 12% stacks now. But now the stun again lands, and Mr. Hustler will go down once again. Marbuckle will get the phase shift just in time, so they're able to survive. The Zerg are still pushing throughout all of this, by the way. And now Top Gun also gets taken pretty low. One more auto, and Silent Shoe going to be able to get that. And what was a pretty one-sided start to the game on Battlefield of Eternity, it's going to be another one-sided game, but for Can't Pause, Won't Pause this time around. They have absolutely dominated in this early game. 16 stacks on a Silent Shoe. They've already taken down a good chunk of the structures as now Cubico able to throw them in the behind. Warlord challenge, and they have Mr. Hustler again right on the respawn. Bro Charge lands onto 3, but it doesn't even matter anymore because it's just Huckett and Gurk Freezer around. They don't have any DPSs with them. Now Misha is going to get taken down by Top Gun, but that will be it. The Zerg are also starting to get pretty low. Huckett just trying to spin in the middle of everyone. Gurk Freezer able to land the Impale and the Burrow Charge as well, as they are just trying to focus their DPS onto the Zerg as much as possible, but it is already at around half HP, as they are able to finish off the last couple Guardians, and now we're going to be able to finally start the reset. But Can't Pause, Won't Pause, almost a 2-level lead after that play, and now they could be looking for more. Cubico gonna look for Gurk Freezer, not able to land the Wrecking Ball combo, but they're not gonna lose too much for trying that play. Meanwhile, over on the bot side, Waterlong getting a decent amount of push here onto this bottom fort. The wall was definitely still there when we checked it out last, but with the amount of action happening at the top side, definitely wasn't gonna look in that area. But now the action going on to Waterlong, but Waterlong will be able to just run away with that extra movement speed. Phase shift going to come through from My Pal Shade, and Waterlong will be just fine. But now Marbuckle is here in the area as well, and now they're trying to push down onto this bottom lane. Siege Camp already passively pushing in for them in the side. The wall from Waterlong coming in through as Nugget. What does this even do? They take damage per second through it. Okay, so it's just a zoning tool, but now the engage happening over to the backside, but the Gus from Sanchu trying to stop the match. But now Mr. Hustler is going in as well. They're able to take down the Siege Camp. But right now, what about the team fight? Warlord Challenge lands on to 3. Cubico will go down to the last strikes, but everyone is stunned up together, and they're getting so much damage out of it. And that's going to be a 3 for 1.5 in favor of Can't Pause, Won't Pause, as they're able to steal that camp as well. And now there is that push happening on the top side, like I mentioned. So it will be at least a little bit of pressure over onto the wall, or onto the keep, but Huckett and Mojo are going to be able to clear that one out. But while they're doing that, Can't Pause, Won't Pause, they will get their prize. They will get the bottom fort, and now they're going to get started looking for this second wall. Now they have lost their full 2-level lead, but their advantage remains strong. They have 2 forts. They have that passive push. They have that extra area to shove into. And now they also were able to steal away all of those camps. They're about to hit level 13, so they're going to have that talent advantage as the beacons do spawn. Now, Cubico and Sanchu are going to be working on that siege camp, while the rest of the team is going to get started on the bruiser camp. So they're going to have more camps pushing in. And now the boss could be their next target. They do have level 13. Mr. Hustler going to get stunned up with a Groundbreaker, but not going to be able to find the play yet. Cubico could be in a bad spot. Has the Unstoppable, though, so will be fine from that. But now the Archangel's starting to get aggroed. Could be a dangerous place to fight for Can't Pause, Won't Pause, but at the same time, if they do non-committal fights, it's in their advantage. They have the pushing waves. In bot lane, they have the pushing waves. In top lane, eventually they will get value out of this. But right now, both sides just going to trade onto the beacons for now. But Can't Pause, Won't Pause will definitely be able to come right back. But now they're looking for Top Gun, and Top Gun will just get burst down. Dealing with the Garage is so difficult on the Genji. If you get stunned once, they have more than enough stun to just continuously follow it up. They also have the polymorph from My Pal Shade from the Brightwing, and with that pickoff, they're going to be able to get both beacons and the Archangel boss to start pushing in for them. Now, I believe this should go over to the bottom lane, if I'm not mistaken. It usually goes to whichever structures have taken less damage. But now Mojo is in the position. Cubico going to be able to throw them back. They have the stun. They don't even need the polymorph. Had it in the last second. But the ancestral healing was also used, but wasn't able to come out in time. The Ensemble going to keep Girk Freezer alive because that Groundbreaker was about to land. And now they have a massively strong push here for Can't Pause, Won't Pause. They have the Archangel. They have the Zerg just behind it. All in one lane, and came from behind. They're even willing to sacrifice their top lane right now. They're not sending anyone there. This could be an opportunity for them to end the game. If they're able to get a couple picks here, there's no reason why they shouldn't be able to. But now the wall is already gone, and they're getting started onto the keep. The Archangel dealing so much damage over to this keep. The Zerg, the Banelings just doing everything for them. And now they have Mojo to the backline. Center Killing does come out. Polymorph as well, but Warlord's Challenge able to find one, and they're getting hit into the wall. The extract from Top Gun not able to deal enough. Now Girk Freezer is going to be the next target. Will get finished off. Cocoon kept Sanchu away from the fight, but Sanchu wasn't even needed. And I said map number 2, Braxis, was a more snowbally map. This is exactly what I meant. They're going to be able to get an early lead, and they're going to be able to get an early map 1. I mean, really not much to say for the post-game analysis this time around. Can't Pause, Won't Pause. They did give up the first 2 kills, but after that, just that duo of Silent, Shu, and Marbuckle over in that top lane, they were just able to win out on the 2v2. Top Gun and Mojo just could not contest them, and I think that partially is because of that Rexar build, and because of that Rexar pick. Just having the extra bear, having Misha in the area, just made it so much more difficult for Mojo to try and contest onto it. So really well played by Can't Pause, Won't Pause to get the early lead, but also got to give credit that they were able to continuously and safely snowball that to the victory. Now, we are going to go to another short break, but we're going to have at least 2 more maps coming your way, so don't go anywhere. We'll be back soon. All right, and we're on to map number 3, Dragon Shire, between Came From Behind and Can't Pause, Won't Pause. So now this should be quite fun. This should be quite an interesting place for these games to happen. Dragon Shire is definitely different compared to Battlefield of Eternity, but it does look like we're just taking elements of the previous map and putting it into the next one. Battlefield of Eternity was our first map. It was that 2-lane fighting map, so we decided to bring that in over towards Braxis, where we had that 2-lane fighting map. But Braxis is also a snowbally map where you just need to control that middle area and let the objective win for you. And that's what Dragon Shire is, though it is more macro focused instead of the team fight focus. So this is going to be pretty interesting to see how both of these two teams do decide to adapt to this map, to this much larger map, I should mention. It's still similar in the sense that if you have a winning lane, either in the off lane or the 4-core or the 2-3, however you want to do it, it makes this map a lot easier to play because you need all 3 lanes in order to get the main objective. But right now the bans are still going to stay the same, and first pick Falstad for Top Gun 707. So it does seem like both these two teams really like having that Falstad on their team. And I think specifically for D-Shire, it's going to be more effective than on either of those other 2 maps that we've seen so far. The flight's definitely going to have a lot more value, going to be able to get to the Dragon Knight faster, whether it's to keep someone off of it or be able to take it for themselves. And we'll be able to play in multiple lanes because of it. But now Can't Pause, Won't Pause. They're going to take Hanzo for Cubico and the Hogger for Marbuckle. So this should be pretty fun to watch because Hogger is a very fun offlaner for me to watch. It's my personal favorite offlaner to cast. I think every single one of the abilities is just super exciting. The Dynamite's fun, the Staggering Blow, Hogwild especially. Hogwild may be my favorite ability in the game, and then Hortipult is just, I don't know why, but it's my favorite ability name in the game, so I have a little bit of a fondness for Hogger. But Came From Behind, they're also going to get some interesting picks here. Brightwing for Huckett and the Malthael for Mojo, so 2 globals on the side of Came From Behind as we're into the next banning phase. But right now, no real frontline selected from Came From Behind. Malthael is kind of a frontliner, but isn't quite as tanky as we do see out of some of the bruisers like Leoric. Like even Sonya, I think, is a bit tankier than Malthael, but Malthael is kind of that pseudo drain bruiser. It doesn't have that big HP bar, but is able to continuously refill it throughout the fight. Now, Nubrak, not going to be played this time around by Came From Behind, as it is banned away by Can't Pause, Won't Pause. So it should be pretty fun here to see what Came From Behind will decide to go on. Gurg Freezer has been doing pretty well on that in Nubrak, even in their loss in Game 2. But going to be interesting to see what is their fallback plan, as Chen going to be the final ban from Came From Behind now. I'm wondering if that's a scout, if it's something for Dragon Shire specifically that they know Can't Pause, Won't Pause will play, or if that's preemptive because they have an idea that they want to do that Chen would absolutely destroy. Now, Wandering Keg is a very powerful heroic ability. It's just really good at splitting up teams. Good for team fights, good for zone control, good for basically everything. It's just a very good ability. As Can't Pause, Won't Pause, again, going to be going the double healer. And since Brightwing's already taken, they can't just go to Ana unless they also want to run a double heal comp on the side of Came From Behind. But it's going to be Lucio for My Pal Shade and the Tyrande for Water Long. So I'm wondering what tank they're going to pick for Can't Pause, Won't Pause. It'll be even better if they take the Uther, which I'm sure they won't, but would definitely be fun. But this is a good answer to that as well. The Thrall for Mr. Hustler is all well and dandy, but the Stitches for Gurg Freezer. Because it doesn't matter how much your healers can heal if they're not in range to heal you. And Stitches makes sure that they are not in range to heal whoever they hook. And right now, looking at the roster of Can't Pause, Won't Pause, Hanzo is not an easy hook, or is a good target. Lucio's a good target. Tyrande is a good target. Even Hogger isn't that bad. And Leoric is probably the worst, as we see the infamous Janitor Leoric skin locked in for Silent Shoot. So, going to be a double bruiser, double healer team comp from Canpause, Won't Pause. But at the same time, I believe once level 10 does hit, Lucio could high five to protect people. I'm not sure how well that works. Haven't actually seen this matchup in a very long while, so should be pretty exciting. Let's see how many good hooks Gurk Freezer can land and whether the double healer will work this time for Canpause, Won't Pause as we head into game number 3. All right, and we're into Dragonshire, map number 3 between Came From Behind and Can't Pause, Won't Pause. Now, both these two sides, again, double healer from the side of Can't Pause, Won't Pause, but the Stitches changes everything. And one other little difference compared to game number 1 is Top Gun this time around has decided to go for the frequent flyer talent. So it's going to be the auto attack build coming out rather than the burst build. And I think it makes a lot of sense on D-Shire. There's the mid lane and the bottom lane are very close together. So it's definitely possible to just double stack, get as many of those stacks as possible, and eventually just become so powerful that you're able to kind of move mountains, able to move everyone out. And with double bruiser, they're not going to have that much armor, so you're going to get full value out of all of those autos. Now, a lot of play going back and forth. The hook not going to be able to land by Gurk Freezer, with both sides now looking towards this mid lane. Now, they have multiple stuns on the Silent Shoot, but again, with double healer, as long as the health isn't 0, they're really at no threat. And Silent Shoot already back at full HP. That's basically how the Leoric is going to work here. And interestingly enough, it is going to be Silent Shoot kind of playing main tank for Can't Pause, Won't Pause. Now, the hook is going to land, but the Wraith Walk is going to be able to come out immediately. And now the poke going back and forth, both sides just able to DPS onto each other. Marbuckle going to keep trying to get the top lane shoved in as Mojo was looking to go towards that mid lane, but going to change their minds as the siege camp is getting started by the side of Can't Pause, Won't Pause, or by the side of Came From Behind. Can't Pause, Won't Pause are also going to get started on, and Cubico going to get started on their own. So both sides should be able to just trade this back and forth as Marbuckle also going to get started on the Bruiser camp. Now that's a little bit more interesting. Mojo could be looking for the rotation here, but instead they've sent My Pal Shade to kind of collect the soak over on the top side so they don't miss anything. And this could be a fight happening right now. Marbuckle getting jumped upon by Mojo. They have the phase shift coming in as well. And they're looking to steal this Bruiser camp. This could be an excellent position for them. But the rest of Can't Pause, Won't Pause is already here. They have the healer coming through. They're able to get first blood instead of Came From Behind. But the double healer is still trying everything they can. But they're not going to be able to. They're able to take down 2. Able to take down 3. And the 4th will survive for now. But it's a 3-for-0 and a Bruiser camp stolen. Came From Behind, going to be in a much better position here on out. They're in a very powerful position. And now Silent Shoot will be able to respawn, but the damage is kind of done already. They're even going to be able to get a little bit of damage onto this fort. Now, obviously, it's not going to go down. The fort's just going to be able to freely hit back onto it. The minions are also going to be here to take some of the flak. But right now, both of the shrines are currently in favor of Came From Behind, but a full level lead now for them as well after that one play. Just big moves from Mojo to start that. Good follow-up from Huckett on the heals. And really both sides just kind of trying to brawl it out, but Came From Behind definitely managed to come out on top there. But now they managed to land the Lunar Flare onto Silent Shoot. Could be looking for something. But one big issue with this double bruiser comp that they have is the hook does land on My Pal Shade, but they will be fine. Is they don't really have that much hard lockdown. They kind of are going to be reliant on their level 10s coming out. That's when they're going to be able to get it. The Entomb from Silent Shoot, that's when they're going to be able to get the extra heroics coming out from the offlane. But now they're just going to be going on to Silent Shoot. The hook not going to be able to land, but it's still another 1-for-0 in favor of Came From Behind. Make that 4-for-0 as the entire game score so far. Now, My Pal Shade going to run back to the mid lane. Just going to be in the area, making sure no one can collect the Dragon Knight at the very least. So Can't Pause, Won't Pause. They can prevent the objective from being finished off, but the hook is going to land on a Cubico. And now they have the Ravenous Spirit as well. And that is going to be another pickoff for them. I was saying before in the draft, will we get the good value out of the stitches? Will the hooks land in? I mean, the answer is just a resounding yes, at least so far. Gergfrieser has been able to get so many pickoffs for the team. They're still less than half a level ahead, as now Silent Shoe and Mojo going to start trading a little bit, but it looks like, I mean, Mojo should win this matchup 1v1. Silent Shoe is a high HP bruiser rather than a regen bruiser, and that's exactly what Melthiel excels at, as we're seeing the vast amounts of damage that Mojo's just able to deal. Silent Shoe can't even stay near the lane, as now this bruiser camp was taken by Kane from behind, and now it's going to be pushing in, and now they land the hook as well, but my pal Shade going to be able to back away. But in the meanwhile, the Dragonite going to be going over to Kane from behind, and it's actually Huckett that picks it up. Gotta love the Brightwing piloting the Dragonite, and we'll be getting some decent damage onto this mid lane wall. Now, the rest of the team is still pushing in the bot lane, so they're going to be able to keep most of Canpaw's, Bonepaw's attention down here. So the Dragonite's still able to get some decent value up in the mid lane, as Mojo also going to be shoving in the top lane right now with that extra push power. They're just able to get so much macro-wise, and they're also able to hook onto Silent Shoe and get themselves another kill. Came from behind, just taking a massive lead there. This is crazy to watch because this series is a close series, but we haven't really had a close game yet. It's kind of the series of the two early games. Whoever's able to get that early advantage is just so good at maintaining it and so good at snowballing it. The mid lane wall did get taken down with that pushes. Now Gergfrieser looking for the hook, going to be able to land onto Cubico, and Cubico will be able to dash away just in time. Stacking blow, going to hit them into the wall, but no follow-up is available. So Campos, Bonepaw's, they're just going to at least take their own siege camp. However, as I say that, maybe Mr. Hustler wants to contest, but well, not. It was definitely a little bit of an aggressive play, but Mojo also going to be able to finish off their own bruiser camp, and level 10s are now online for Came from behind. This is a pretty big power spike for them. They do have one full level to kind of try and play with. If they're able to get a pick, if they're able to land a hook on Came from behind, they could definitely start threatening onto this bot lane fort. Now Gergfrieser looking for the angle and able to find onto Marbuckle, and with the gust gonna split away the team, but Marbuckle should be able to get away, but no, they're able to get the root, they're able to get the stun before the Hog Wild comes out, and that's gonna be a massive pickoff for them. But I don't think they'll be able to get too much macro pressure out of it because the lane is currently pushed in. They were able to at least clear away all the minions on the side of Canpaw's, Bonepaw's while they were picking off Marbuckle, but a kill's a kill, a pickoff's a pickoff, and a lead is a lead. And Came from behind are definitely ahead. Almost 2 full levels now. And Mojo has absolutely no fear next to Silent Shoe. Just got to be trading back and forth, making sure the lane is pushed in. And they will be able to get a little bit more damage onto the fort, but nothing too substantial yet. However, the bruiser camp is getting started by Canpaw's, Bonepaw's, but this time around, Silent Shoe going to scout out Mojo and will be able to zone them away. So they will be able to secure their own bruiser camp, as the shrines are going to be spawning in 20 seconds, as both teams just kind of grouping around mid lane for some reason. But Came from behind, they're immediately going to run back down to the bot lane. Canpaw's, Bonepaw's will collect the waves and join them. But pretty quick stat check here. 24 stacks on frequent flyer. That is really good for 7 minutes. This is going to be an incredibly strong fall stat. This already is an incredibly strong fall stat. That's a lot of bonus damage for every single auto. And this is going to increase their burst damage. It's also going to increase their team fight damage. Because right now, like I said, both the frontliners, Marbuckle and Silent Shoe on that Leoric, they're both HP-based frontliners. They don't have armor. They don't have anything like that. So any kind of bonus damage gets so much effect onto it. Now Gergfrieser gets to slow onto them, as they are able to at least control the bottom shrine. Hog Wild going to be used by Marbuckle to be able to get out to a more defensive position, as the poke is just going to be getting thrown back and forth. Marbuckle going to get hooked this time around. The Gorge is there as well. Gust to split it up. Dragonair will land, but at the same time, Hortipult actually going to be able to get Marbuckle back to safety, but it is going to be 2 for 2 heroics used. And the Sundering actually going to get used as well. They're looking for Cubico, but the Ravenous Spirit's not going to be able to land. Starfall over top, but now they have the Polymorph, and Marbuckle will be able to out-sustain, and now they actually don't have high five at all. They're just going to have the sound barrier, and that's going to be able to keep the rest of the team alive. However, while that was happening, Mojo able to get a solo kill up in the top side. Silent Shoe gonna be going down in that play. But now another hook gonna land on a Marbuckle, and this time around, no more Hortipult. They will just be going down. And with this, they should be able to retake control over on the spot side. And this should be the Dragonite as well. Mojo's already in position for it, as Cubiko does get hooked again, but again, without the Gorge, not able to hold on to the kill. And there we go. Mojo gonna be taking the Dragonite once again for Came from behind. But now this bot lane push also coming in strong right now for Came from behind. And it looks like they should be able to just finish off this fort before anything else happens there. One more hit and they will be able to finish it off. But right now, Huggins still tanking a decent amount from the fort. But Gurkfreezer is walking forward. Could look for just a straight Gorge, but not going to be able to find it quite yet. We'll just get chain stunned. But a push is a push and Came from behind. They've also taken out that mid lane fort as a hook. Almost lands on a Cubicle, but not going to be able to quite yet. And now they're looking for this secondary wall in the mid lane. Gurkfreezer almost gets hit by the Entomb, but able to walk away just in time and will be able to stay out of range. But now the hook is going to land, and they're able to find the Tyrande. So if they can take out one healer, the rest of the composition kind of breaks. So Waterlong going to be taken down here. And now the push is going to be a little bit more free for Came from behind. Now, they don't have too much health or time left on the Dragonite, but they can definitely at least take this wall. As now Silent Shoe also getting DPS down. And again, there's just more and more pressure coming out from Came from behind. They do have the level 13 talents, at least on the side of Campos, Wonpos, but they're just not able to play aggressive. They're not able to play forward. As again, another route onto Silent Shoe, and Silent Shoe's going to go down. Hortipult over in the backline. Marbuckle just trying to DPS onto the backline, but Top Gun has more than enough survivability. And Came from behind, they're going to be able to get themselves a kill and get themselves out. And they're going to take the siege camp on their way out as kind of a little souvenir when they leave the Can't Pause Won't Pass half of the map. Now Gurkfreezer going to take a little bit of poke, but level 16 is kind of what's really needed right now from the side of Can't Pause Won't Pause. Then Cubico will have that % health damage. And this Stitches is going to be a lot less safe. That scatter shot's really going to be bringing in the DPS. But until then, they're definitely going to have a bit of a struggle. And they still need over a level to get to that level 16. Now the Bruiser Camp also going to get finished off by Mojo over in the bot lane, as my pal Shay just kind of playing pseudo in the offlane. Not really playing as the offlaner, more like because of the amount of mobility that Lucio has, it's a pretty good choice to be able to just clean up the other waves, but now gonna get hooked up. Lunar Flare is gonna at least provide them into a better position, but my pal Shade still trying to survive. Sandberry comes out as well, and now this could be the team fight. Dragon Arrow lands on it too, and now in the meanwhile, the Hogwall and Marbuckle just in the backline looking for Top Gun. Needs a bit more damage, but the Storm Bow from Cubico gonna be more than enough. Marbuckle able to jump away as well, as now Silent Shoe gonna be able to find Huckett. But the damage just not going to be there. Or as I say that, another Stormbow going to land by Cubico. And that's what Can't Pause Won't Pause needed. They got that 2 for 0. However, this is happening at the same time. And they will lose their keep for that play. So it's a really good push coming out from Came from behind in the bot lane. They had their Bruiser Camp. They had the Siege Camp. They also had the Fort down. So they had all of that extra push potential. And with the keep down, there's going to be a lot of value. The bot lane is the last rights. Able to finish off Silent Shoe. I did not think the damage was there. I thought that was used a little bit preemptively, but Mojo definitely knows better than me. And now they're going to be able to take control of the top shrine. However, my pal Shade, at least buying some time, going to be able to take the shrine over in the bottom side. Now Marbuckle, again, just trying to get some value, trying to get the push happening at least a little bit in the bot lane, trying to lower the amount of pressure they're feeling. As Silent Shoe looks to respawn directly on top of the top shrine. Now Can't Pause Won't Pause. They're running up there immediately, just kind of trying to do a little bit of those musical lanes right now. Gurkfreezer will be able to retake the bottom, but there's no time to take the Dragonite because Can't Pause Won't Pause are already in position. But eventually, musical lanes will go in favor of Came from behind. They have the winning lane in the mid lane. They have the winning lane in the bot lane. They have all of this passive push working for them. While Can't Pause Won't Pause, they definitely need to make a play happen, and now they could be looking for it, but the Gorge onto Marbuckle, but Dragon Arrow over into the backline. Starfall as well. Sunring splits the fight up in 2, but Top Gun going to get taken down immediately. Soundberry as well, but the Hogwad needs to be used by Marbuckle to get back out of safety. Mojo could be the next target. Last strike's going to be used by Marbuckle. Able to run away, but in the meanwhile, the Toronto goes down. So it's a 2-for-1. But again, can pause, won't pause. Winning any trade at all is so big for them. And now the hook not going to land onto Marbuckle this time around, as Cubico going to be able to retake onto the shrine. And now another fight could be breaking out here. Cubico down to half HP, but My Pal Shade is here. Same with Silent Shoe. But I don't know if they have enough crowd control to really get the rest of the fight going. But they do have Marbuckle stuck into the wall. And the damage is so high coming out from Cubico that they're going to be able to get that damage. And that is going to be another 1-for-1 trade at the end of the day. But it is still 3-for-2 in favor of Can't Pause, Won't Pause. Now the Entomb going to land again. It is back off. They have the Dynamite. They have everything. And Huckett going to get finished off again. Make that a 5-for-2 as Can't Pause, Won't Pause. They're going to start the comeback. They're going to start trying to get back into this game and going to start showing Came From Behind that despite the early lead, they are not out of it yet. And this could be a strong position for them to get the Dragonite as well. Marbuckle already on the bottom shrine. Silent Shoe already in position to take it. It really is going to depend if Top Gun 707 can get there in time. And Silent Shoe should be able to finish the channel. And they will have the Dragonite in their favor. But now Mojo going to get picked off as well. And the Siege Camp stolen. Can't Pause, Won't Pause just having a massive series of events going in their favor. And now they have the Siege Camp pushing into the bot side, just getting free damage onto this fort. And the Dragonite pushing through the mid lane. They're already able to take down the fort. And they're still pretty long timers on the side of Came From Behind. They can just keep going. They're going to take down this wall for themselves as well. But they do need to be careful on the side of Can't Pause, Won't Pause. There's a big wave pushing into the bot side. 3 cannons going to be able to deal some pretty solid damage to the core. But it looks like they're not interested in that. Level 20 is going to be hit by both teams. But Waterlong going to get hooked and gorged into the backline. And with that, Waterlong should just go down. I suspect there's not much they can do. My Pal should try to rescue them, but in the process, will just go down themselves. And this could actually be a really strong mode for Came From Behind. They have the wind wall, but unfortunately not able to land onto anyone else. Top Gun going to get hit away as Huckett able to land right back in. Hogwall just bouncing between everyone, dealing so much damage, but alone in the middle of everyone. Not going to be able to solo win that fight. Now Silent Shoe is going to be the next target. They have so much slows. They have so much DPS going out over top. But in the meanwhile, Cubico goes down to the bot lane to Top Gun. And with 47 stacks, it's not surprising to see YN Came From Behind. They may have just won the game. They have a wave in the bot line. It's 5v1 right now. And it's only the offlaner Silent Shoe. And they're just going to immediately get onto Silent Shoe. Will get taken down. Make that 5-for-0. And Came From Behind, they're going to be able to secure this game and take the lead in our series. And another good game from Came From Behind, but this may have still been one of our closest games this series so far, because every single time it's one side in the early game and then that's it. They're just able to snowball it from there. But Can't Pause, Won't Pause, they definitely gave Came From Behind a scare there near the end. Able to get a massive pickoff that turned into another pickoff, that turned into another pickoff, that eventually turned into a fort and a Dragon Knight. But unfortunately, they wanted a little bit too much. And again, the Gurg Freezer able to land the hook on Waterlong. And with that, we're just able to slowly retake the lanes and just retake the game. Now we're going to go to a short break, but this is a best of 5. There's more NGS action to come. So we will see you in just one moment. All right, and here we are, map number 4, Towers of Doom. Now, I was talking about the little bits that we can take for future maps compared to previous maps, just kind of slowly going around everything, but Towers of Doom is completely its own beast, has nothing in common with any of the previous maps, but it's still a very interesting one. And what's always funny to me is it's so commonly used as that series deciding map. Now, this isn't necessarily the series deciding map. If Can't Pause Won't Pause do win here, they will take us to the game 5. And Came From Behind going to be able to take us over. But if Came From Behind are able to win, they will be able to bring it in and just go straight to the finals. But PvP Audi, this tournament is basically ongoing all the time. We only use these channels for the semifinals and finals, so it is going to be basically every evening. But for the next season, if you want to participate, I believe we have the link down below, nexusgamingseries.org. If you want to just watch, we have a lot of different casters. Join the Discord if you want to get notifications for it. But I also cast a lot of these games on my own channel. It's time for my self-plug. Twitch.tv/Tokibi, so be sure to give it a look if it's something you're interested in. It's been a ton of fun. I cast basically 4 to 5 days a week, though we are about to hit the off season as we are in playoffs, but after that it was going to be pretty consistent once again. But anyway, after that long spiel, we do have the exact same bans once again. Creativity not needed for the first phase. And again, speaking of that, Falstad going to get locked in for Silent Shoe. So again, this Falstad's just been the main priority for both these two teams. But now, a little bit of a difference Came From Behind. They're going to take the Vala for Mr. Hustler. But once again, going to be the Brightwing for Huckett. Now, Vala's going to be pretty fun on this map as well. Either of the builds really works out here. And when I say either, I mean literally any of the three. I think this is one of the few maps where, depending on draft, Fire at Will is viable. Getting those multi-shot talents is so... it can be useful. Now, there's a Garrosh there, though. I am a little bit less inclined to say that, but it could still be an option. You never know. Most likely it won't be, though. I just always have fun whenever that talent's taken. But like I said, it is going to be the Garrosh for Cubico and Li Ming for Water Long. So they're going to have quite a bit of bonus damage coming in here. Li Ming's going to just be able to one-shot whoever they find. It is a little bit more difficult under Brightwing. That Fairy Dust is going to give that extra spell armor. And if it's timed correctly, Li Ming shouldn't be able to one-shot anyone. But still always going to be a threat. Even 30% down, that's still 70% of your health. So got to be a little bit careful. But Viking's going to get banned by Came From Behind. And Malthiel going to get banned away by Can't Pause Won't Pause. And the Viking ban's pretty fun because Towers of Doom, this is probably the Vikings' best map. I think there's a couple of others where they do well, but Towers of Doom is the Viking map. for this game. Game from behind definitely going to be worried about it, but Gurkfreeze are definitely feeling themselves. Going to lock in the stitches as the Zul'jin's going to get locked in by Top Gun 707. So kind of the double auto attacker, but obviously Zul'jin now is kind of a mix. A little bit of the auto attack, a little bit of the spell casting, especially with the new talents, and specifically with the change to those passive stacks. But Vala could be a pseudo caster, could be a pseudo auto attacker. We're just going to have to see. Vala's kind of like clay. You can mold it into whatever you want. But Karazim going to get locked in for My Pal Shade, and the Hogger once again for Marbuckle. So much damage on the side of Can't Pause, Won't Pause. Now, Karazim typically has less healing than most of the other healers, but it's definitely going to be able to provide so much threat over to the front line. If the Karazim is able to get onto Gurkfreezer, once that 7-side strike is going to be available, they could absolutely just burst down this tank, and there's not too much Game From Behind can do about it. But now final pick is going to be the Sonya for Mojo. Not quite as good as double soaking as Marbuckle will be on Hogger, but is also really proficient in these team fights, really strong in the 1v1s as well. So this could be a very fun offlane to watch this time around. Though, since it's towers, most likely they will still be kind of ignoring each other, just double soaking as much as they can, but we will have to see. But this could be the deciding match as we head into game number 4 between Came From Behind and Can't Pause, Won't Pause. All right, and here we are, map number 4, Towers of Doom. And this could be the series for Came From Behind if they're able to win this out. But Can't Pause, Won't Pause, they've already shown they can take maps off Came From Behind. They can definitely win this series and bring it back. It is 2-1 so far, but this is a best of 5. So it's really going to come down to who's able to play strong here. And if the answer is Can't Pause, Won't Pause, then we're just going to have an unofficial best of 1 to decide the true winner.
4, 3.
But already some interesting talents taken. It is going to be Frequent Flyer and Puncturing Arrow. So it is going to be more of that Spellcaster coming out from the Vala. No multi-shot build, unfortunately. But as I say that, multi-shot build would be absolutely terrible here. So while I like seeing that talent, this is definitely not the game for it. There's very few games for it anyway. But Came From Behind going to be able to get the first move over into the mid lane. They're going to get the push for themselves basically immediately, as the Hungering Arrow actually able to land. So first stack already landed. Hook not going to be able to land. They Came From Behind, going to be able to just walk right down and take over the bot lane. Now they're actually going to try and get in the way and keep the rest of Can't Pause, Won't Pause from approaching. But Cubico doesn't really get deterred too much. Does get slowed down, but not going to get completely zoned away. But Hungering Arrow not going to be able to land for that extra stack. Already had 2 stacks though. And before the reset on the vault, it's actually pretty decent over at 50 seconds. Decently long cooldown early on. But Mr. Hustler just continuously getting those Hungering Arrows just landing onto whoever is in the area. As now the push once again in favor of Came From Behind. And now it is going to be Huckett and Silent Shu meeting over in the mid lane. Silent Shu definitely going to be able to win out on the trades, but Huckett will be able to heal back up. But now Gurkfreezer could be looking towards the Falstad, but with the hook, had the right angle, but the range just not there yet in those early levels. As now both sides do get started on their Sapper camp, but Cubico gotta start playing aggressive here. Level 3 did just pop for Came From Behind, but no new talents there, just a little bit of stats. As level 3 is also gonna get matched, and now they're able to throw Gurkfreezer into the backline. This is the main tank with a staggering blow into the wall, and Gurkfreezer gonna go down, and First Blood going the way of Can't Pause, Won't Pause. And I believe this is the first time they do get that First Blood in their own hands. Now, this did give a little bit of space over to Mojo, but Silent Shu going to be able to approach before the siege camp does get finished off. They could try trading back and forth. It is the auto attack build, and with Marbuckle there, they'll actually be able to steal away the tower camp as well. So all 3 camps going towards Can't Pause, Won't Pause, and they've already gotten the damage onto this wall. They just have 1 more cannon tower remaining, but My Pal Shade and Waterlong together will be able to take it down, and already a big lead for Can't Pause, Won't Pause. Now Marbuckle still up here just trading into Mojo, but both sides will be able to kind of self-sustain in this lane. And it's really just going to be about having that fine control, having that extra priority on the map. But came from behind. They're looking for the play. They do kind of just pass each other by, as the altars are going to be activating in 20 seconds. I'm wondering if came from behind are considering trying to attack this top right altar. Because typically the top left one will be free for them. The top right altar will be free for Campos Won't Pause. And most teams do just try to contest on this one in the bot side. But right now, it came from behind. They're right in the middle of the map, so they could go either way. But it looks like it's actually going to be Campos Won't Pause contesting on a Mojo. Now, Cubico is in the area. They do see Huckett starting it. But Cubico's still going to walk forward, trying to cancel it. The polymorph is going to be there, but now Cubico gets hooked right back. But they're looking towards Top Gun, and Top Gun is going to get focused down and will be taken down first. Cubico's still trying to run away, but with 46 armor, Dirk Freezer really shouldn't be a big threat. But now Mr. Hustler just getting so many Hungry Arrows. Already at 10 stacks, by the way. That's massive for this early on in the game. As Marbuckle just contesting on to Mojo and Huckett, just trying to delay them as long as possible. As Gurk Freezer still going to be in a spot there, but the Wrecking Ball is going to get used, and now they're pressuring over into the top side. Mr. Hustler dealing so much down. Marbuckle starting to get low, but with the Hog Wild will be able to just jump away to safety. As now Cubico is going to be the next target. My pal Shade will be able to heal back up, but is quite low as well. As it does seem that Campos Won't Pause were able to secure that bottom altar for themselves, but Mojo will at least be able to take the safe top left altar for Came From Behind. But that was actually a pretty big moment for Came From Behind not losing that one. It is the level 7 talent advantage right now for Campos Won't Pause. So this is an opportunity for them where they are definitely stronger. They will be able to take their siege camp, and they could also look to invade here if they want. They already have Marbuckle in the mid lane, so we'll be able to join into the team pretty quickly once that does start. But level 7 is going to get matched by Came From Behind now. Waterlong just trying to DPS over the wall. Same with Sound Shoe, just kind of being in a safe spot. As Cubico just watching for those angles. But now Mojo coming in from behind, and now the camp has already been taken down. And it does look like they're going to be able to answer it, but can they get a pick off? And it looks like the other team will. Top Gun going to get taken down immediately. Gurk Freezer could look for the hook over the wall, but everyone's already gone. Campos Won't Pause just getting away with a quick steal, and they'll be back to safety with another double sapper push here in the bot lane. And now the Wrecking Ball looking over for Gurk Freezer. They're able to find it. The phase shift will be coming through from Huckett though, so we'll be in a safe spot. But look at all these sappers landing, as there was a kill on the top side. It looks like Silent Shoe, very close, 200 HP left, was able to win out in the off lane. And again, with that, Marbuckle will definitely be able to take this next set of sapper camps as well in the top side. So Campos Won't Pause 6-0 in terms of camps. I actually want to... Where is this one? Is it here? Yeah, 0 XP for Mercenaries right now. That's pretty insane. That's just a really good value right now coming out from Campos Won't Pause. Just getting so much value out of these different structures, out of this different macro. And I say macro, but they're also kind of outplaying. However, gotta give credit where it's due, because right now, Mr. Hustler's already at 18 stacks. So this is going to be a pretty strong Vala, but Sound Shoe also at 12 now on this fall stat. So two pretty heavy scalers going into the lake, and now Cubico taking a decent amount of damage. Huckett was looked to be for the target, but not going to be the one that's sent flying yet. Now Mojo got to get in trouble with a Disintegrate, as the level 10s are now available, and you see the retreat things coming out immediately. The Polymorph just in time. Silent Shoe not able to get the gust to get the play going, but again, they're still going to be able to win out on this altar. So this will be 36-28 now, as Mr. Hustler could be the next target. Groundbreaker not going to land. Gurk Freezer will get the slow, but won't get anything else for it. But this bottom bell tower is starting to get quite low, as another Arcane Orb from Waterlong just trying to make it even lower. So this could definitely be a point of attack for Campos Won't Pause soon enough, as Waterlong's just kind of throwing out spells at structures whenever convenient. No, just kind of doing little drive-by plays. Now it's still over a level lead, about a level and a half. As now Sound Shoe could be the target and will get burst down. The damage coming out of Mr. Hustler. That's the danger of this well-stacked Vala. And they managed to get this pick. They have their level 10s as well. And now they can start looking for the siege cap. They have the Gorge immediately used onto the healer. But now can they hold on to them? They have the Polymorph as well. And the leap over to the backline and into the fray. Not going to be able to save them. So it's a 2-0 so far. And now, again, they're able to just come right back, and we'll be able to get their first Sapper camp of the game. And it's actually a steal of Can't Pause, Won't Pause's camp. So very interesting plays coming out from Came From Behind. They managed to come out just when they needed to the most, and they can start bringing this game back. Towers of Doom, it's a small map, so the push not going to matter too much. They can definitely get back into the game very, very quickly. And now with that, there's a play happening on the top side. Mojo going to be the target. Phase shift coming through. Hog Wild not going to be enough. Hortipult has to be used by Marbuckle to be able to get back to safety. And with that, both teams have 2 of their members in the top side, as the altars are spawning in 10 seconds. However, Came From Behind, they're focused up on their siege camp. Will be able to secure that just before the altars spawn. Now it is going to be another 5v5 over in the bot lane, but Can't Pause, Won't Pause, they have first move onto this bottom one. But Gurkfreeze are going to try and get the hook, but not going to be able to find it onto Cubico. But because of that, there's extra numbers here in the mid lane. Huckett and Mojo trying to defend it, as Huckett going to be Silent Shoes target, is going to get zoned away. Disintegrate from Waterlong, going to be in the area as well, but Gurkfreezer is now here. They're looking for the team fight. Gurkfreezer going to get hit into the backline. 7-sided strike, and that's what I was talking about. Garrosh is going to be able to use Stitches as the target when they have that talent. However, Mojo was able to get the altar in the bot side, so it will be a trade 4-for-4. Warlord challenge now not able to be found, and Emerald Wind. Actually, the talent choice from Huckett, haven't seen that yet. And they're going to be able to take down the Garrosh as well. And with that, they're going to start pushing over to the bot lane. They actually have a pretty solid wave here, but it will get cleared away quite quickly by the side of Can't Pause, Won't Pause. 33 stacks of Puncturing Arrow at 9 minutes. This is a very strong Vala. Once that level 20 hits, they can probably burst down basically everyone except for the Garrosh. God, that's how scary this Vala is stacking right now. Now they're going to continue pushing in with this new wave they have. Not going to be able to get the extra stack, but there you go. Mr. Hustler able to finally land it. My Pal Shade going to be able to dodge away onto the hook. But the game more or less has evened out now. Can't Pause, Won't Pause had a very solid lead early on, but came from behind. Well, they did as their namesake. They came from behind, and now they're at level 13 as well. They're still down half a level, but considering where they were, where at one point they were down almost 2, you will take that. As now Kobiko could be the next target, but not going to be found quite yet. Siege Camp spawning up in 2 seconds. A Silent Shoe actually has a pretty free lane over in the top side for the push. Mojo could be the next target as well. They do have a lot of team members in the area, but it looks like the target instead is going to be this bottom bell tower. Mr. Hustler, unfortunately, does tank it up, so not going to be able to deal too much damage with it. And with that, they are able to defend on their bell tower. They don't lose their siege camp either, but they do lose a lot of soak on the top side as it does crash into the wall. So for Can't Pause, Won't Pause, it's actually going to be a pretty good spot, but Silent Shoe just going to get burst down. The leap used. And that's going to be a pretty big catch right now from Can't Pause, Won't Pause. The altars do spawn in 3 seconds. And without the fall stat, they do lose a lot of their damage. It is the frequent flyer build. And now without their tank as well, Cubico going to be the next target. The strafe just going to be able to DPS over onto the backline. And now it's already a 2 for nothing. And now Waterlong could be their next target. Teleport's already been used. Polymorph will come out. And that's just going to be another target leaving as the hook almost lands onto My Pal Shade, but just barely out of range. They got the altar for themselves, and now they're looking for the bell tower. Came from behind. They have taken the lead with that play, and they will be able to take the first structure of the game. And getting this bottom bell tower, this is the most important bell tower in the game. So they will have a ton of pressure now in this bottom lane. Siege Camp now going to get cleared away by Mojo. As long as they're able to just hold on to this bottom lane, they're going to be in a very solid position. Now their Sapper Camp is already on the way in. So if they're able to get all those 3 sent in, it's just going to be 1 health of difference between their 2 cores. And again, that's just going to be a little bit of missed soak unless they're able to come down in time, which it looks like they are. But Cubico tanking up a Hungering Arrow. Mr. Hustler just continuously looking for more. Not going to be able to find the second one onto Waterlog. The Disintegrate just going to get used to try and clear these away. But now they have the root onto Cubico, but not able to find too much more with it. They will be able to clear away the Sapper Camp, but the Gorge actually going to be coming in, but Hortipult in the backline, and now they're looking for the team fight. They have the Emerald Wind to split it up, though, and now the Strafe, just Mr. Hustler DPSing onto everyone. Marbuckle's starting to get low as well. They're able to take down Cubico, but that's still going to be a 2 for nothing. Mr. Hustler not going to be able to find the damage necessary to take down the 3rd and 4th, but that was a 4v5. Mojo wasn't there, and this isn't just like a regular member. This isn't just someone you can miss in these fights. This is their leap. This is one of their big team fight abilities that was not needed to win that team fight. And now because of that, they're going to get the altar over on the bot side. And remember, these altars are worth 5 where it came from behind. So we'll be able to get that going from the bot lane. And now Mojo and the rest of came from behind. They're already here. They're already keeping Mojo away. And Huckett gets the top left one as well. That's 15 damage onto the core of Canpaw's One Paws. 24-13 now. As Top Gun still able to hold it for now at least. 1v5, but the rest of came from behind. They're on their way. Dirk Feast or Mr. Hustler going to be there as well. It's still 3v5 though. But right now the poke is still coming through. Waterlong really good at the siege as Dirk Feast looks for the hook but not going to be able to land it. However, maybe did land it, but Cubico was unstoppable anyway. But this Garrosh is starting to get pretty low. Does have the bonus armor the lower they get, but even so, a quarter HP. As Mojo now going to start threatening onto this top lane fort as well. And this is starting to look pretty bad for Canpaw's One Paws. Almost a 2 full level lead now in favor of Came From Behind as they are looking to secure themselves the spot in the grand finals for Division A. But now the hook going to go right between everyone, but the damage might still be there. And Sanshu has to roll away, but the Hungering Arrow is just dealing so much damage. 45 stacks of Puncturing Arrow. I'll multiply that by 6, and that's going to be the damage. I believe that's 270. I don't know. Math on stream is surprisingly difficult. You hear that all the time. You don't know until you try to cast. But now My Pal Shade going to be hooked up. Gorge. And now they could be looking for the play over in the backline. Hortipole gonna land as well. 7-sided strike. And now this could be the comeback, but no, the leap in the backline. Mojo able to find one. And now they have the unstoppable as well, but Cubico starting to get low as well. But the hook is going to land on My Pal Shade. And it's going to be a 3-0 as Waterlong dodging out on those Hungering Arrows. But 2 altars are spawning. And this could be an opportunity for Came From Behind to end the game. If they take these 2 altars and the boss, they have won. They have gotten to the finals. Can Canpaw's One Paws defend onto this? They have to. They don't really have a choice. They need to try and make this happen. But it's going to be so difficult. The position just isn't there. Waterlong just trying to buy some time, but we'll get hooked up. We'll teleport away, but it's not enough, and that should be it. That should be the final nail in the coffin. Came From Behind. We'll get the 10 damage from the altars, and they will start looking for the boss. Cubico needs to make a hero play here. They have the false stat on the way soon. Has the polymorph. It could have the unstoppable, but not going to be able to survive long enough. But the gust actually going to be coming through, but the wall set up is going to be enough. It's a 3-0. The strafe to make it 4, but it doesn't matter. The core is gone and Came From Behind. You're going to the finals. Oh, that was horrible. And absolutely well played. Came From Behind doing their namesake. They're able to find one team fight and they're able to just kind of snowball it back from there. But it wasn't just that one fight. They had one fight to get back to an even state and then another big one to get ahead. And I mean, I got to give a lot of value. I mean, just look at these DPS charts. 56.5k damage with Li Ming 20k damage below. That is not an easy scoreline to get, but Mr. Hustler was hustling and just landing every single Hungering Arrow. Was at about 50 stacks as the game ended, so huge congratulations to Came From Behind. But now gonna take a moment and try to find someone for one of them interviews. Let's see if anyone is around. Okay, I have sent in the request, and now we're just going to have to wait for someone to come back. But this was a series. And, I mean, I got to say, like, the scoreline makes it look like it wasn't that close to series. And, frankly, most of the games weren't even that close. They were very one-sided, but that last one definitely was a nail-biter.
Hey, Toki beat.
Hello, hello. And for everyone in chat, I am joined here by Huckett from Came From Behind, who did play the healer role in the last few games, but you just won 3-1 against Canpaw's One Paws, and you're going to the finals for Div A.
Oof.
How does it feel?
That is very exciting. You know, last season we were the 1 seed and got knocked out by the 8 right in the first round. And so this time we're coming from behind like we're supposed to.
Yeah, I mean, This was a pretty solid game, but what's interesting to me for this series is it seems like, despite it being a 3-1, every single game kind of felt like a snowball. Besides that fourth game, where, like you said, you came from behind. But kind of tell me about that. What do you think it was that made the early game matter so much in this series?
Hmm. Well, so the game we lost, I can say that we failed to draft a mage, and Garrosh just in our face. We couldn't clear the wave, and that Braxis is always a rolling game. If you lose the first couple and you have no way to clear, you're in big trouble.
Yep.
Yeah, but I don't know if there's the same reason why we why we were able to snowball in the other matches. I wish I knew. I would do it every time.
Yeah, fair enough. That's a pretty solid answer. I think all of us would definitely try to be able to snowball every single game we play. But let's talk about that fourth map, because let's face it, that was definitely the closest one, and especially the way the early to mid game went, it didn't look like you should have been able to win at all, but you were able to come back. So, what do you think it was that turning point for your team?
So I've played Brightwing, and from my perspective, at least, a few of those gusts just didn't land. Falstad flew into Gust, and I got the poly on him. And then Karash actually threw Falstad closer so he could have another chance, and he couldn't get it. And then another time, Falstad gusted, and I was able to get the Emerald Wind off right before the gust hit me, and it pushed everybody back, so they weren't able to kill us during the gust.
Yeah, that was that fight over
yeah,
at the bottom bell tower, right?
Right, bottom bell tower, and it's a game of inches. If they were able to get the gust, and before I got the Emerald Wind off, I think we all get wiped and they win the game. Now that's just my perspective. Everybody else did their part too. So I'm sure you had a good view of it as the caster.
Oh, it was a ton of fun to watch. Yeah, I mean, there was definitely a lot of moments where it did seem like it could go either way, but I think what was very interesting to me is that at one point, Can Pause, Won't Pause, I think they were almost 2 full levels ahead of you, and I think they got all 6 of the first Sapper camps until you were able to get that turnaround fight.
I almost forgot about that. Thanks for reminding me.
Oh, no problem.
Yeah,
hey, at this point, it's not a negative memory.
Yeah, and then with Garrosh, you get a pick, and then you can't win the fight once you're down 4-on-5. So we just started playing a little bit smarter, stop getting picked, and then with Stitches, it's the other way around. We get a pick or they get a pick. That's who wins the fight.
And I mean, there were some very solid hooks, both in that third and fourth game coming out. So, but tell me a little bit about that Stitches. So I see it picked pretty often by some teams, and like you said, it's hit or miss. Sometimes if you land the hooks, you can definitely just absolutely win games from that, regardless of how behind you are. But sometimes you just don't land the hooks, and it can be pretty hard mentally. So the fact that you picked it twice, was this because you thought that Stitches was just good for the draft? Or was it partially because
we actually hate playing Stitches, but it always seems like the draft plan we have gets screwed up by the other team, and then we're like, we have to take Stitches. It's the only thing that works. So I don't have a better answer than that. But I think the real reason that we won most of those games is that Mr. Hustler started making calls, and he always knows what to do. And when he is focused and cares about the game, that's when we play our best.
I mean, Mr. Hustler was definitely focused, had almost 50 stacks on the puncturing arrow by the end of that last game, so was bringing out a lot of damage.
Sometimes I think he cares more about the stacks than the team, but it works.
Fair enough. Got to have that DPS mindset, though, sometimes,
Mm-hmm.
But now let's talk about the other series, the sister series between Crit Kickers and Magnitude Epicenter. So I got 2 questions. We'll start with the first one. Who do you think will win that series?
When is the game?
Good question. I have no idea.
It hasn't happened yet, right?
No, it hasn't.
Okay. So the fun thing is that Magnitude Epicenter is my old team. We used to be called Death and Delay, but split maybe 3, 4, 5 seasons ago. And so I'm rooting for them, but I think Crit Kickers is kind of a step above. They have been demolishing people all season.
All right, and then my other question to that then is, who do you want to win the series?
Oh, yeah, well, I guess my old team. Go Magnitude Epicenter.
All right.
And I don't want to play Crit Kickers again, so it works double.
Yeah, fair enough. But I mean, I've seen it both ways. Some teams, they don't want to play the strong opponents, but others, they want to beat them up, the strong opponents, just to say we beat the strongest. Like, we earned this.
No, I'm good. I'll take the easiest path possible, which is not going to be easy no matter who wins.
Yeah. Oh, that's a fantastic answer. Gotta love that. But
I could be a politician.
Oh, easily. Maybe that could be your next career if being a pro HOTS player doesn't pan out.
Yeah, right. I think that ship has sailed.
Maybe. You never know. But I also checked the schedule, and it hasn't happened, and it also has not been scheduled yet, but should be scheduled soon.
All right. Cool. Well, thanks for casting.
Yeah, and
can't wait to watch the replay.
Yeah, it should be a pretty good one. But my final question to you is, are there any shout-outs you'd like to give? Anything you'd like to say to your fans out there?
Yeah, I do want to give an official congratulations to Mr. Hustler for getting married to one of our subs, Bella. So you don't see a lot of HOTS romances, but it happened. There it is.
Yeah, all right. I mean, congratulations to Mr. Hustler. Probably not on the same day, but I'm still going to congratulate you on the 50 stacks and the marriage at the same time. So
I don't know which one he's more excited about, though.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to say as a carry player sometimes. But either way, congratulations on your victory. Good luck in the finals, and hope you have a good night.
Thank you. Good night.
Bye-bye. And with that, we will be ending here as well. That was Huckett Came From Behind, and thank you all for watching today. Thank you all for who will be joining this stream tomorrow. Or tomorrow, there's no stream tomorrow, but just a reminder, there is going to be a stream on this channel on Wednesday, 6 p.m. Pacific, 9 p.m. Eastern. It'll be Div B East HOTS Dads versus Brain Cell Mates by Powder HOTS. But now I believe we have 2 series currently ongoing. So if you want to check it out, go to Nexus Gaming Series 2 for a Div E game, or go to Div if you want to watch Div B West. Linehouse just started their stream, so there's more NGS action if you want to find it, but it's time for me to sign off. I was Tokibi. Hopefully I'll be able to see you around sometime soon, and you all have yourselves a fantastic evening.
You